Hey guys, it's Rigger Garage here, and today we're doing another video. We're doing a video on the head port and polishing that we've been doing DIY on our heads, so we've been doing it all ourselves. So if you look in here, we've just dremeled all out inside of it. I'll get my flashlight, and as you can see, we've dremeled up right into there. So what we've done is we've got the stock gasket, which is here for the exhaust, and if I put it on here, completely port matched right up to the actual gasket itself. And then my brother has 4 to 2 to 1 exhaust headers, and he's completely port matched that out to match the gasket as well, so it'll make the head flow a lot better. It's also been done on the intake side as well. I'll show you that as well, and also on this exhaust side. So that's all been done on there. And if I pop these valves up, they're not that easy to get up. Here you go. Pop this one here up. These are all brand new intake and exhaust valves, but we could not find the small intake valves. You can only buy those in Japan, and we didn't want to buy those because obviously it would have taken a long time. So what we done is we shaved, so these need to be reseated again and just cleaned up. They've got a little bit of rust because it's been sitting for a little bit, but we've just grinded underneath and made it so it has more of an angle so that air can flow better into the cylinder. And then we've also shaved a little bit out of the bottom piece of the bucket there. This one here doesn't have much done, but if you want to get a lot of power, what you do is you shave the bottom of the bucket here out with the Dremel, and then what we're using is just a Dremel like this, and we're using a tungsten carbide head on it. And you can get the longer ones, which are probably a lot better to go into these ports here. And then what you do to clean these inside the bowl here, which will get on to what I've done to mine, is you put dummy valves in. So there's valves that you're not going to worry about, so maybe, I don't know, you've bent one or something, chuck them in there, and then you go around with your Dremel, and it doesn't matter if you hit the tops of the valves, just as long as you don't hit the seats. So you just put them in there, and then you just Dremel around and clean up all the actual cylinder port, essentially. And then we'll move on to the intake side. So put that back in there. So I've got an intake gasket here, and I'll show you this. So stock, this is definitely not port matched, and if we come into here, you can see the whole gasket is completely port matched to the the head's port matched to the gasket, and we'll just shaved a little bit inside there just so that it makes the airflow go a little bit better. So this is just a very mild port and polish, very quick job, and then we've just lapped all the valves, and then that's getting new valves rings in. And then in the background here I have 2 camshafts. So this one here is a midget cam that I got sold by a dude in Auckland, and what the guy, from what I can see, is he's used it as like a mocking camshaft. So he's built it up on it with a sort of compound and used it to sort of mock up what he essentially wants the cam profile to be. But you couldn't actually run this in your engine, it's some sort of like paste. And then there's this one here that I got sold, and my brother has a regrind 266 cam, and this looks pretty similar to a regrind. You can definitely tell it is a regrind. It doesn't look like it's been built up on any of the actual lobes itself or welded on, because usually you'll see pitting where it goes up onto the tops of the lobes. So there's no pitting up on there, which sort of tells me that it hasn't been welded. So I'd just say this is just a regrind. You can see that the actual whole bottoms of the actual camshaft is barely even there. I'll cut the video. I'll bring a stock camshaft just to show you the difference. Yeah, so we're back here now, and so this is a stock 2E camshaft, and what I'm going to show you, right, is this one here's a little bit rusty, but it doesn't matter, it's just a junk one that I had lying around if anything went wrong with my other one. As you can see, they have quite a bit of like material in between these actual lobes here, and it's actually quite high off the actual, the actual camshaft itself. Then if you look at this one over here, which is this regrind, so I don't know exactly how much the duration is, I haven't got it taken in yet. Excuse me. But I'm having a look at the bottom of here, and there's like, if I can pick that up on camera, it's got like literally like maybe like 1 thou to maybe 2 thou of a lip on each of the lobes. So it's very, very, very small. The lip on it, even some of them almost feel flat. So I'd say the duration on this is like almost like a 270 regrind. Though it won't be like a what's it called, a TRT 270, due to the fact that those ones there were actually built specifically at that duration. So the camshaft's not a regrind, it's actually built up specifically at that duration. So now we'll move on to my my head that I've got here. So what I've been doing on this head is, this is a custom one, so it's the same sort of job. I've got the gaskets, put them up there, that's completely port matched, and then I've went in here and just went really aggressive and started just taking a lot of material out. Not going to not too savage, but I'm trying to see what I can do. This is an experimental head that I'm working on, so I'm not too worried about it. It costs me pretty much nothing, and then I've done the same on this port here. And then if you move up onto the top of the actual complete cylinder here on the head, you can see that I've now marked it out with pencil. And what I'm doing in this port here is I'm shaving it all back, and I'm trying to increase the CC rating inside the head, so it's going to decrease the compression ratio. So what I'm trying to do is, essentially, the more CCs you can have in the actual in the what's it called, like in the cylinder, then the lower the compression ratio. So what I'm doing is I'm shaving quite a bit of excess material out of here, and I'm coming up here and I'm shaving this way back. So that's the stock one right there, and I'm shaving it back, and I'm going to probably bring it all the way back into around about here, and then I'm going to measure it on all the same on these heads here, right from the end of here to the end of here, and get it all symmetrical, so it all lines up, and get the ports roughly the same. And then I'm going to find out how many cc's each of the ports are, and then I'll just calculate what the compression ratio is of it, and I'm trying to bring it down to a 2E TE head, so around about 8.5 to 1 compression ratio. So these at the moment are 9.5 to 1 compression ratio, which is a little bit too high if you're wanting to do turbo and run a lot of boost. So I'm wanting to run at least sort of 10 psi to 15 psi boost, so lower the compression ratio, and it's a lot more safer to do that. And I've went also in here and I'm shaving out all the buckets, coming all into there, shaving that out, come all down in here, shaving that out, and I'm going to take a lot of material all out of here and try and make it all flow a lot better than factory, because when we had these stock heads, there was a lot of excess cast material inside the ports, and I'll actually show you a stock head, the one that I've got off the engine that I pulled apart. Alright, so I'm back here with a stock head, and I'm going to show you, this is the one that I pulled off my EP71. So as you can see, I cleaned all the head gasket all off it, and I've been checking all out the head to make sure there's no cracks on it. And actually this head's one of the best, one of the better condition heads that I've found, apart from the valves. So the valves are pretty much just going to be dummy valves for me to do a bought and polish job on it. And then I'll just go get new valves off a sort of better engine. But if you look at here, this has a lot of material still left on it, which means that this engine, I would say, has never been skimmed in its whole life, or in terms of the head. It had very, very low case. I'd say, the guy's done not any sort of major maintenance to it before it sort of got pulled out, and then it was stored away for quite a number of years. So yeah, but if you look inside the ports here, you can see there's a lot of carbon build up in there. But if I come into here and sort of get like a tool here, so I've just got like a little tool, and it doesn't actually matter this head here because it's going to get port polished anyways. But all I'm trying to do is show you. You can see all the factory castings very, very like it's not smooth. There's a lot of blotches and stuff all on it. This engine here is quite bad due to the fact it's got a lot of carbon build up in it. You can see in there like the casting on it. See how it's all built up in the end of that port there. That's all carbon built up on the top of bad casting. And yeah, just the same on these sort of ports here. They're not like completely terrible, but they're not that good. But I'll show you when I put a stock gasket on here, and you'll see how much material you can actually pull off to make these things flow better. So that's a stock gasket, and if you look at that, there is about 2 mil of material on that left hand side. In the middle it's actually not that bad. So as you can see there, that's not that bad, but I've got a better gasket over here. So that one there is a metal gasket, and this one here's a sort of paper gasket. But if you spray this with the copper stuff, it's a lot better. So yeah, if you look here, 2 mil all the way round, essentially, apart from the middle. The middle just needs a small little shave, and that's how much we've shaved out and made it essentially port matched. So there's a lot of material you can get out of the head, but you just don't want to go too crazy in case you go into any of the wall jackets or anything like that sort of thing. But yeah, I can show you the intake as well. The intake is quite interesting when you see it, because then you'll be able to see how much sort of casting is in there, because there's not much carbon. But you can see in here, see that sort of casting, it's very, very like rough, sort of edged. See all down here, all that's beads I'm talking about, that's what a lot of carbon builds up on the exhaust one. All that is just bad flow all there, and that's just sort of a way for the engine to build up gunk on there, and once it starts to build up, then it's not good, because they have a recycling oil valve in the tuies, so a lot of oil goes back into the intake, and it can build up inside the intake. You can see there's a little bit of oil inside of there, and yeah, so it's not in bad condition. So what I'm going to do is pull this head out and then just put new valves in it, and then I'd say the engine's pretty much ready to go. But what I'm going to show you here is I'm going to show you the intake gasket on the stock head. So yeah, if you come around here and you pretty much have a look, so they're not bad, the ports, they're not too bad. So as you can see, the ports aren't that bad in terms of how bad, like in terms of the matching on them. If you line that up there, it can do with a little bit of a shave there. Yeah, a little bit of a shave up the top there, but you see nothing too crazy. And yeah, the same with that. They don't really need too much, the intake ports. It's just more getting it nice and ported inside there. Alright, so hey guys, as I want to show you here, so this is a gasket already on this intake manifold here, but you can have a wee look. It's around about 1 millimetre you can shave off going into the runners, and also you can see the material in here is quite rough as well, so you could also get in there and if you had a long enough piece and shave all that out, and that will also make the flow go a lot better. And the other part that you want to try shave is get this curve in here a lot more better and direct into the port. So you help the fuel go in. The more you help the fuel go in, the more flow you'll get out of the engine. Same with this port here. You can see it's got this little tab there. If you actually lift the gasket up there, it's not going to come up, but I'll just pull it. There we go. You can see it has a little piece that's notched there. What you could actually do is notch this whole manifold here right out, and then when you put the new gasket on, is just go out with a cutting blade and just cut that piece there out, and make that port there slightly bigger, and then do the same also with this port here. But if you do that, then you need to measure this port and then do the same with this port here, and try and make them all the same. You can see that this has got a bottom little notch here. So what you want to do is you want to make these notches a lot bigger, all the way coming into the port, and then you can actually port match this even bigger, and then make the actual ports even bigger on your gasket. So what you want to do is make this bigger, cut that out on a gasket, and then put that onto your head, and then port your head to match that gasket. And then every time when you go to do a gasket change, then you'll have to port the head out a wee bit more. So yeah, I've also got an exhaust here as well, and I'll put the gasket on here, and as you can see, there's quite a bit of material you can port out of this header here, and this is cast, so you can actually port this. You just don't want to go too crazy with it and make it paper thin. If you make it paper thin, then it's going to start cracking, and these manifolds are pretty prone to cracking. The other part that you can do on the intake manifold, which will be a big sort of benefit, is coming into here, and you can see a lot of the factory cast down the bottom there. If you get a sanding piece and just sand that all so it's nice and flat and it's got a bit of a smoother intake coming in, and then also these parts that go underneath inside here, you want to shave these so the gas can flow a lot more better in there. You can see there's about 3 or 2 little dips right there. That's going to be a big flow loss in the manifold. And if you have a look in here on that side, you can also see there's a couple little casting dips. These stock manifolds aren't the best for making power, but you can do not too bad sort of power off them if you port them. And then also same with the exhaust, you just want to do a mild little port on those. Another thing that I've learnt about these heads here is apparently that the valve stem seals in here are made out of some particular type of material, and it goes bad. So a lot of the valve stem seals in the 2Es, because they were so old of an engine, they had those material that was used to make those valve stem seals, and they're all pretty much gone bad. So you're better off just buying a kit, like a regrind kit like this, and this comes with all new clips, all new valve stem seals, head gasket. This is an old one, and it has a cork intake gasket, which is all good, because I have this special type of spray, which is it's a copper spray, and you spray it on to the gaskets, and it makes it a lot more what's the word for it, a lot more sort of durable. So yeah, that's all.